I'm Simon Jackson MBE and I'm a judo player and a 3 times Paralympic Judo champion. I got into the sport of judo because I consider myself, I've got 2 disabilities. One is I'm visually impaired and the other one is I have to win at whatever I do. And I went to a mainstream school. I don't say normal because nobody's normal. I'm probably better, well, I am better than judo. I'm better at judo than you, so you've got a disability because I'm better at judo than you, but you can see better than me, so that's my disability. I went to mainstream school and I tried every sport. I had to go at football, although I would probably get a game at the moment for my favourite team, Liverpool, because they're pretty rubbish up front, so I would get a game. And then I had to go at rugby because my dad used to play rugby for Rochdale Mayfield. And I quite like rugby, but obviously with the visual impairment, seeing the ball, I could see the ball slightly, but I like the tackling element of it. And you seen an advertisement in the local newspaper for a judo class, and he said to my mum, he said, "I'll take him there." And my mum were a bit sceptical at first because, like, I were only 7 years old, visually impaired, but they were tough with me. That's why I'm like I am. Anyway, I went to this judo class with fully sighted people, and at the end of the 8-week course, they had a little competition, and I won it. And that was it. I was hooked from then on because there was never any special things needed for me to do judo. There was never any special facilities to do judo, and maybe sounded a little bit arrogant, I was good at it at 7 years old. I was beating all the other 7-year-old boys, and there wasn't any girls, to be fair then, who could see. And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go into a sport that I had to be different than anybody else. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something that I trained with all my mates. My brother started a couple of months after me as well, so I could fight my brother. And that's why I got into judo. It's ideal for visually impaired people, judo, because it's tactile. You don't do judo unless you've got hold of each other. So once the initial grips have gone out the way and you've got hold of each other, it's a level playing field and visually impaired people can compete exactly like fully sighted people. Okay, the contact begins in visually impaired judo. In sighted judo, you stood about 5 foot away from each other. You rei, bow, hajime, which is start in Japanese, you start fighting. In visually impaired judo, you rei, you come together, you put your hands on each other's shoulders, and you used to put your hands down by your sides and then a jimmy, but now they start holding on with each other, which I'm not a big fan of. Luckily, I'd retired by the time they started doing that. Because if you were a left-handed judo player, you had a massive advantage over a right-handed judo player. So that's how they start now. They're holding on to each other, and as soon as one of the fighters breaks the grip, if they actually break contact with each other, the referee will say mate, bring them to the centre of the mat, start again, and you carry on fighting. That's the only adaptation. There is nothing else in judo, in visually impaired judo, different than sighted judo. That's the only adaptation that's made. That's why I loved it, and I still love it now, and I can train with anybody and compete with anybody. Training with the sighted people, I never actually train with visually impaired people, and I very rarely actually ever meet any other visually impaired person. So that's not an issue to me. Running around for the warm-up, sometimes I'll walk into somebody or run into somebody, but hopefully 9 times out of 10 I'm the best judo player on there, so they don't really actually give me the hassle. And I think the best thing about training with sighted people is very rarely it happens now because most people in British judo do know who I am. But in sort of like 10, 15 years ago, people would come on with me and think, oh, he's a visually impaired judo player, I'll take it easy with him. And there was an instance where I was on with a policeman, and I went on with him, and I knew this lad would take it easy on me. I could just tell because he was quite a big lad, and I thought, he's a black belt, and I thought, he's got to have something there. He's a fit, he's a fit policeman, he's 25, 26-year-old, and he had nothing. Anyway, he was taking it easy with me, and then he thought, well, this lad's quite good, and he was a bit arrogant, and then he started really going for it, and then I just wiped the floor with him a bit as well. So I like that situation where people underestimate me, and then they raise the game, and I still wipe the floor with them. I like that, because there's no need, you never underestimate anybody. If I've learned something throughout all my career of judo is never underestimate anybody. This is a true story, we went to the Kodokan in Japan for the National Veteran Championships, which in judo, you're a veteran at 30. And this is not a word of a lie, there were a lad there with one leg, an ex-paratrooper from America. And I was waiting to watch this. This was not a disabled event, this was an able-bodied event. And this lad had just entered it, and he had one leg and he'd been blown up in Afghanistan or wherever he'd been blown up. And you could see everybody, and I was thinking, how's he going to win this? And even I started to doubt. I thought, this is not right. Anyway, he won 2 fights. He won 2 fights against two-sighted people, two able-bodied people. And these lads were just like, whoa. And because they underestimated him. Now, if I'd have gone on with him, I'd have just boomed him straight away because I didn't underestimate him. I don't care whether they have one leg, one arm. Don't matter to me what they've got or what they haven't got. You've got to win. But these 2 blokes underestimated this American, and he beat 2 lads. And he had 1 leg, fighting in an able-bodied competition. So the lesson there is, you go 100% on everybody. Doesn't matter who it is. I won my first competition when I was 7 because I won the sighted competition, and then when I was 15 I was picked for the Great Britain visually impaired team, and I became European champion for the first time at the age of 15. Then I won the Paralympic Games in 1988, becoming the first and only man to win Olympic or Paralympic gold medal for judo ever for Britain. I won again in 92, again in 96 in Atlanta, so I'm 3 times Paralympic gold medalist. Then in Sydney I won a bronze medal in the Paralympics. I've won 15 European gold medals. I've never been beaten in the European Championships. I've won 3 World Championship gold medals and 2 World Championship silver medals, 20 German Open medals, gold, 18 Japanese Open medals, gold, and then I've won a few European, Lithuanian, Austrian. I was unbeaten for 14 years. 156 fights, no defeats. I was undefeated from 1987 to 2000, and I got beat in the semi-final in the Paralympic Games in Sydney. But I came through to win a bronze. I've got 2 trophy cabinets with some medals in it. My Olympic golds are hidden. I never look at them. Not really. Medals are medals. I'd never give them away, but they're not the thing that matters to me, really. The thing that matters to me is up here. I've got the memories of what I did, and I can look back and, because it was televised, I've got the TV coverage and stuff, and you can go on YouTube and put my name in, and all my fights are on and stuff. My wife did a montage with all my fights and stuff on there. That means more to me than the medals. Medals are just medals. Anybody could go and have an Olympic gold medal made. It's the actual winning it, and my mum and dad. Unfortunately, I'd sort of retired when I met my wife, but my mum and dad came to watch me at every Olympic game, so they've got memories. My dad passed away a couple of years ago from leukemia, and I know that after marrying my mum and having me and our kid, it probably his best memories were going to the Olympic Games with me and seeing me win my Olympic championships, because without my mother and father, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be working in a mainstream. I've got a job. I work in a mainstream school, and I wouldn't have been 3 times Paralympic champion without them too. So that's the things that I've got decent trophy cabinets, and I've got a few things on the wall and plaques and blah de blah de blah. But it's the memories and the memories that you've made for other people that mean a lot to you. I think one of my greatest things I was just saying about my father is my father went to every training session, because obviously I couldn't drive as a kid, and obviously now that I couldn't drive, I used to train at Urmston Judo Club, which is about 45 minutes from where I live. So there's no way public transport you're going to get there. It'd take you 3 or 4 hours. My dad used to drive home from work and then take me straight to judo 7 nights a week. So him and Steve were the biggest influences on my judo career. And I remember the one night there was a lad called Paul Shields, who was a great judo player, and he'd come from Coventry and he was training up at Urmston in Manchester. And he used to do this little technique where he just touched the foot with his hand as he came in for the throw. You couldn't do it now in judo. You can't grab below the belt. But I remember my dad saying to me one night, he said, the shoulder throw that you do, the Ippon Seoinage, when you're coming in for it, just grab the leg, just put your arm down and grab the leg. And that one thing, when I was about 15, won me everything. That was it. That's my signature throw. Everybody in the world knew I could do it, and everybody in the world tried to stop it, but nobody ever did. I had three great attributes. One is I trained myself so I couldn't train anymore. I was the first on the mat and last off the mat. I didn't want to go off. I wanted to do more, because I always thought, if I go off the mat, I'm going to get nervous. So if I stay on the mat, I won't be nervous, and I'm going to put more work in than my opposition. The other thing was I was quick, really, really fast. For my weight category, I used to fight middleweight and I was faster than anybody in that weight category. Really, really fast, and I was aggressive. And I think the greatest one is I wanted to win more than anybody else. I didn't want to lose. I was too scared of losing. I was scared of losing. I didn't know what it was like. I'd not lost. When I went to international, I just started winning. And when you start winning, it's like, oh, this is good, but then you don't want to lose. And I just wanted to keep winning. And the fear of losing made me train harder and harder. And the fella you've just interviewed, Steve, when he was my coach and I was a player, I hated Steve. I proper hated him. I hated him, and he knew it, and he thrived on it. He tried to break me. He'd say, run up that hill, and everybody else would do it twice. He'd make me do it 10 times. Not one more time, he'd make me do it 10 times more than them, more than anybody else. He tried to break me, and my biggest thing was, I'm not letting Steve break me. I will train myself till he cannot break me. And that relationship that we had when we were competing, when I was competing, he was coaching, we didn't like each other. Now, he's brilliant. My wife started judo 5 years ago, and the first person I said, he said, go and see Steve, get Steve to coach as well as me. You know, because I did coach her, but it's like teaching somebody to drive in the family. Sometimes you row about it, so you need somebody else to have that objective view. Steve's a man. So my will to win was, it was like scary. Now I look back on it now, because I'm relaxed now. I've got a proper job. I'm married. We're trying for a kid. You know, I'm sort of domesticated now. And when you're not domesticated, you're just an animal and you just want to win. And all I wanted to do was win. I didn't care what I had to do. I threw somebody once when I was about 17. And looking back on it, it wasn't very nice. But I threw this lad and he'd gone into not into a coma, but he was unconscious. I'd thrown him that hard. I just walked off, just bowed and walked off. Weren't bothered. Because that's job done. That was job done. If I broke somebody's arm or strangled somebody unconscious, that means they can't get up and get me. When you look back on it, you think, it's pretty horrible that. You know what I mean? But in the heat of battle, and you know, I wanted to just get them out of that ring off the mat as quick as possible. And whatever it took, it was in the rules of judo obviously, but whatever it took, I would do. And it didn't worry me whether they didn't get up after I'd thrown them or strangled them or arm locked them. Because if you worry about that, then you're not going to win. And I wanted to win. I wanted to be the best in the world. I wanted to be, I don't believe in legacies and all that, but I'm still the only man to have won Olympic or Paralympic Judo gold medal for Britain ever. So I've left my legacy, I've got 3. Nobody else has managed to do it. And that's because I wanted to win more than anybody else in that competition. I'd have fought everybody in that comp. Anyway, I'd have had to go at anybody. I would have fought anybody. When I used to go to judo clubs, Steve would say, right, you know, just go on with them tonight. Nah. I'd have a look round, I'd look who the best were and just go straight for him. I didn't want to mess around with them. I wanted to fight. If the best were 90 kilos and I was 70, I didn't care. I would fight with them. Hey, I'm not going to always beat 90 kilo players because I was like middleweight, but I'd go with anybody. Anybody who looked good, I didn't want anybody looking, probably arrogant, I didn't want anybody looking better than me. We used to go to Japan and we used to go for like 2 months at a time. We used to go twice a year. And they were always like, not in awe of me, but they were always like looking at me like strange because I was that aggressive and that I just wanted to win. It just was in me. It just used to come out on the judo mat. And I think that's why you can't train that. You've either got it or you haven't. And luckily, my mum and dad's genes give it me.